Chicago PD Season 13 can bring Reid back in a really interesting way. Chicago PD Season 12 ended dramatically as Sergeant Hank Voight turned to old habits to have Deputy Chief Reid killed off. For Voight, Reid is arguably the most challenging villain Hank has ever faced because both men understand what it means to go beyond the law. Reid could control everyone, from police officers to major criminals. The deputy chief held Voight and his intelligence unit in check and used them to his advantage when he confronted Voight about Officer Dante Torres' illegal relationship with CI Gloria Perez. Since the intelligence unit was at risk of being shut down for good, Voight took down Reid by offering a plea deal to criminal Jesus Otero's son, who eventually shoots and kills Reid to avenge his father's death. Despite Hank's efforts in having his unit and ASA Nina Chapman help him defeat the corrupt deputy chief, Reid was too powerful to be tackled by the book. Reid's demise may have salvaged Hank's team, but it could have an intellectual impact on Voight in Chicago PD Season 13. Although Reid is dead, he may return as Voight's conscience next season. Voight has always been a strong leader who places his unit and the citizens of Chicago first above himself. During the earlier seasons of Chicago PD, Voight never hesitated to use extreme measures to tackle and interrogate suspects for the sake of saving lives or retrieving vital case information. Hank would also protect his unit from trouble, including planting evidence or killing criminals and covering it up. In recent seasons, Voight's extreme methods have taken a toll not only on him, but on other intelligence members, including Jay Halstead and Haley Upton. Halstead and Upton, two of Voight's best teammates who understood his intense methods more than most, grew weary of the complex crimes going on in Chicago and eventually left. Voight toned down his extreme tactics in recent years, but Season 12 saw Voight attempt to be more open with his team when it comes to personal, complex cases like Reid's. Chapman also tried to get through to Voight and persuade him to handle Reid's case properly. However, Reid proved to be too difficult to arrest or prosecute due to a lack of evidence and witnesses. While Voight finally took down Reid, it came at a cost because he had to go back to using corrupt methods, including using Otero's child to take the fall for Reid's murder. This deeply upsets Chapman, who has feelings for Voight, and was hoping that Voight was done with his old self. As Voight continues working cases in Chicago PD in Season 13, his takedown of Reid and the aftermath will continue to emotionally impact him because Voight and Chapman may have broken up for good. Reid's downfall may also cause Voight and his unit to be cautious and look out for themselves. There could be other corrupt police officers like Reid or those associated with him who may try to bring down intelligence. Reid could also return in Season 13 of Chicago PD as Voight's conscience, telling the sergeant that he's worse than him since those were Reid's last words to Voight before his death. When Voight is working on his next set of cases, Reid can be a nuisance to the sergeant by verbally tormenting his mind and making Hank question his decision-making. Voight has faced various villains over the years, including major crime lords and ruthless serial killers. However, Reid is Voight's greatest adversary because he is a corrupt police officer with the power to control any officer or criminal for his benefit. When Voight had his near-death experience at the hands of a serial killer during the Chicago PD Season 11 finale, Hank saw Alinsky in his conscience, who told him it wasn't his time to die yet. Despite surviving this horrific ordeal, this experience lingered with Voight at the start of Season 12 as he rushed to complete cases. The aftermath of Reid's death will also continue to impact Voight because Reid's case proved that the sergeant is unable to get rid of his corrupt tactics when it comes to facing powerful enemies. Even in death, Reid's presence can still be depicted as a tormenting figure in Voight's conscience. Reid was one of the few nemesis to challenge Hank further than anyone, and his potential return would continue to question the type of police officer Voight intends to be from another city, found himself in the crosshairs of Chicago's criminal underground. Season 13 of Chicago PD has the perfect opportunity to do something truly unexpected. Bring back Spencer Reid, the fan-favorite profiler from Criminal Minds, in a way that reinvents his character and shakes up intelligence in a profound way. Let's face it, Chicago PD has always thrived on emotional tension, moral ambiguity, and gritty realism. Hank Voight leads his team with a mix of street justice and reluctant compassion, while detectives like Haley Upton and Kevin Atwater continue to evolve in a city that tests them every day. But just as the squad has started to settle into a new rhythm post-Jay Halstead, Season 13 could flip the script by introducing an outsider who sees the world completely differently. A man of logic, patterns, and empathy. Dr. Spencer Reid. Picture this. Voight's intelligence unit is deep into a case that's spiraling out of control. Someone is targeting police officers, not just at random, but with strategic, psychological precision. The murders are methodical, patterned, and chilling. Every move the killer makes is a step ahead of intelligence. The usual tactics, confidential informants, surveillance, brute force, yield nothing. That's when a federal liaison arrives, sent by Quantico, offering backup from the Behavioral Analysis Unit. Enter Spencer Reid. He's older now, weathered in ways fans haven't seen before. Maybe it's been a few years since he left the BAU, burned out after too many cases and too many losses. He's trying to keep a low profile teaching criminal psychology in a university setting, but the FBI pulls him back in because no one understands the mind of a meticulous killer better than Reid. At first, Voight's not interested. A profiler, he doesn't have time for mind games. But as the case grows darker, with clues etched in ciphered Latin and references to historical cases Reid once solved, Voight realizes this isn't just any killer. It's someone who's studied Reid's past work, someone who might be sending a message to both Reid and the CPD. Haley Upton is skeptical. She doesn't trust feds, especially ones who look like they belong in a classroom, not a crime scene. But Reid proves his worth quickly. He walks into the precinct, rattles off a dozen facts about the killer's upbringing based on a single crime scene photo, and then quotes obscure philosophy that matches the killer's manifesto. It's eerie, brilliant, and exactly what the case needs. Reid's reappearance doesn't just elevate the investigation, it shakes intelligence to its core. Kevin Atwater, who's always fought to bridge the gap between communities and law enforcement, sees in Reid someone who listens, who understands. Meanwhile, Adam Ruzek is intrigued by Reid's gentle approach, contrasting it with Voight's iron-fisted leadership. Ruzek begins to wonder, can justice come from intellect rather than intimidation? Even Voight, hardened by decades of loss and compromise, finds himself reluctantly respecting Reid. There's a powerful scene where Voight and Reid sit in the squad room late at night. Voight's nursing a drink, Reid's nursing his trauma. They're polar opposites, yet there's a mutual understanding. They both carry the weight of lives lost. They both do what they do for the same reason, to protect the people who can't protect themselves. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The killer knows Reid's in town, and it becomes clear the murders were designed for him. One of the bodies is found with a chess piece in its hand, an old calling card from a case Reid closed a decade ago. Another crime scene is staged like a replica of one from the BAU's most haunting investigations. Reid isn't just helping the case, he is the case. Now Reid has to make a choice. Stay and help the intelligence unit stop a murderer obsessed with him, or run before more people die because of his presence. His inner conflict becomes a slow burn throughout the season. And the rest of the squad is split. Do they protect him like one of their own or cut ties before it's too late? Upton eventually grows to respect Reid, especially after he saves her from a trap set by the killer. In a rare moment of vulnerability, she tells Reid he reminds her of Halstead, brilliant, stubborn, and always trying to carry the burden alone. Reid, touched by the comparison, opens up about losing his own team and what it means to start again. Their bond becomes a quiet undercurrent in the season, not romantic, but deeply emotional.